President Trump was in the region last week. It was the first time a U.S. president has paid a visit to Qatar since 2003. How significant was this visit for the Gulf, do you think? And also, how do you think this president, his approach to the region, differs from his predecessors?
Well, I believe that the president visit first trip to the GCC region, visiting Saudi, Qatar, and UAE, has been a great demonstration for the potential of that region. And this sent a very strong message to the entire world that there is a very high potential in that region. This region is flourishing. This region has a lot to do when it comes to contribute to the future technology and the revolution of artificial intelligence and the need, of course, for power. Basically, we have had a great visit, and I believe this is equivalent to the rest of the countries in the GCC. During that visit, we had a wide range of topics that's been discussed, whether it's on the regional security, on the future economic cooperation between the two countries, and how to untap the potential between the two countries. These topics actually has varied, whether it's how to partner in artificial intelligence, how to partner in energy, and how to expand also in being a critical and a vital part of the supply chain for the United States economy, which is the leading economy in the world. I believe this was very much perceived in a positive way by the region. And of course, we know that the policy varies from one administration to another. We are glad to see that Middle East and GCC in particular is a priority for this administration, and we believe that there is a lot of potential for both of us in the region and the United States that we can untap in the next few years. And also, I think that one of the key elements of the president's visit is making sure that the situation in this region remain stabilized. And we have seen what a delicate period that we are going through in that region, whether it's on their talks, on the US talks with Iran, or with the situation in Gaza and the changes that happened in Syria. And we are hoping that these kind of engagements will lead us to a point where we can have all these conflicts settled and hopefully being more focused on the prosperity of the region.
President Trump has been labeled a transactional president. He certainly likes to do deals. He's written a book about the art of the deal, and he likes things of value, especially if they come free. I want to ask you about the gift of this Boeing jet that Qatar want to give to the president to use as interim Air Force One. It's been met with a lot of controversy back home. What was the purpose? What is the purpose of this gift? And is it, as some critics say, an opportunity for Qatar to gain influence with this administration?
Well, look, actually, we have seen that there was a lot of controversy that's being created out of this, what I call it an exchange between two countries. And basically, the relationship that we have between Qatar and the United States is a very institutional relationship. And it witnessed different administration, and the institutional relationship remained very strong and at the backbone of this partnership. The plain story is a Ministry of Defense to Department of Defense transaction, which is basically done in full transparency and very legally, and it's part of the cooperation that we've been always doing together for decades. For example, the airlifting in Afghanistan is something that we have almost 80% of that done by our air forces. The security deployment of United States during the World Cup to support our efforts was done by the United States, and I see it as a normal, a normal thing that happens between allies. And basically, I don't know why people they are thinking about it, that this is considered as a bribery or considered as something that Qatar wants to buy an influence with this administration. I don't see any, honestly, valid reason for that. And I believe that there is a huge issue in misconception or, unfortunately, some spoiler who are trying to portray Qatar as a country that it tries to buy its way. And I believe if you look at the track record, at least for the last 10 years, whenever is some scoop coming out in the media and trying to put Qatar under a spotlight, that Qatar is bribing to get the World Cup, or Qatar is bribing the EU Parliament, or whatever, until like the end, Qatar is trying to bribe the Prime Minister of Israel. I'm sure that, it does tell you something, that for the last 10 years, none of these cases has stand or had any proof that Qatar has done anything wrong. We are a country that would like to have a strong partnership and strong friendship, and anything that we provide to any country, it's provided out of respect for this partnership, and it's a two-way relationship. It's mutually beneficial for Qatar and for the United States, and I believe everybody acknowledges this. I think that we need to overcome this stereotype of seeing Qatar as a small Arab nation because it's gas rich. It cannot find its way without buying it with money. It's really a misconception that hurts a lot, not our reputation, but the reputation also of other countries and the institutions.
Is the controversy worth it, though, if it means that there's going to be further congressional scrutiny of all of Qatar's dealings now with the U.S.?
Well, there is actually nothing been done by us under the table, or like we are trying to do like a covert operation. It's a Ministry of Defense to Department of Defense. There is a proper legal review is now conducted between the two departments, and nothing has happened yet, actually. And our intention is to have a very clear exchange that the U.S. is in need for to accelerate, a temporary Air Force One. Qatar has the ability to provide this. We stepped up, and basically a lot of nations has gifted the U.S. Many things. I am not comparing that to the Statue of Liberty, but I don't know if this is sounded a little bit maybe strange for the U.S. because it's coming from a small Arab nation. I think that this has played some way a factor in this, but I'm hoping that people in the United States and even the politicians over there, they look at us as a friend, as a partner, as a reliable partner, that we've been always there for the U.S. whenever we were needed, whether it's in the war against terror, whether it's in freeing American hostages from all around the world. It's not something that we've been doing to buy an influence, but this is a duty on us as a partner, as an ally of the United States. And as there's a duty for the United States toward Qatar.
I want to turn to regional geopolitics. Yesterday, the Israeli Prime Minister says that Israel are now carrying out operations with the purpose of taking over the Gaza Strip. They will carry out an unprecedented attack on Hamas, that is a quote. The war is clearly entering into a new phase after a ceasefire that was negotiated earlier this year. Qatar played a pivotal role in that. It lapsed in March. The death toll continues to go up. There are still what's thought to be 20 hostages still alive in the Gaza Strip. There's a humanitarian crisis going on there. What hope is there now for a lasting ceasefire, Your Excellency?
Well, it's unfortunate that we've been seeing the situation unfolding in this way, and it's becoming very frustrating for everyone. And especially for us here in Qatar, we've been there from the beginning trying to mediate and trying to get to a deal where it alleviates the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza and freeing the hostages and bringing them back to their family, and trying to bring a path that will create a peaceful environment and security for both people. And that's basically what we were aiming. And what I think that the last year and a half now has shown you that the only way forward is through negotiations. And unfortunately that sometimes, or many of the times, these negotiations being sabotaged by political games with a very narrow vision, and it's just being postponed. One of the examples, we had the first deal that freed more than 100 Israeli hostages in November 23. It collapsed in 1 week. Then we had the second deal that's been based on a framework that's agreed on December 23, and we couldn't announce it, or we couldn't finalize it until January 25. That states very clearly that this deal should include multiple phases, that we have to do everything we can to avoid to return to the war, and ensuring that all the hostages will be freed, and there is a withdrawal from Gaza Strip, and there is a clear way forward for the Gazan people to alleviate their situation. This deal has collapsed on 2nd of March, and we have seen how the situation has been unfolding since then, and the blockade on Gaza for now more than 60 days. And we are hearing also some irresponsible statements about the humanitarian situation over there, about the way of distributing these aids and distributing food in form of meals and calculated calories for pre-qualified and pre-screened people. I think all these things that are happening has been unprecedented in our world today, and it shouldn't be acceptable for the international community. Yes, yet we have seen that unfortunately the Israeli government is carrying it out with impunity. Now we continue our efforts despite everything and every attempt to sabotage our efforts and try to also blackmail us and continuing attacking us, while we were the only country that's helping together with Egypt and United States. And we have just that this is just making us more determined to bring stability to the region, to end the war in Gaza, to free all the hostages and to bring them back to their family, and to provide security for both people. The rounds of negotiations that took place in Doha in the past couple of weeks unfortunately didn't lead us anywhere yet, because there is a fundamental gap between the two parties, which is one party is looking for a partial deal that might or have the possibility to lead to a comprehensive deal, and the other party is looking just for one-off deal and to end the war and to get all the hostages out. And we couldn't bridge this fundamental gap with whatever proposals we have provided, given the past experience of the first deal that it collapsed. And basically, we are stuck in a situation that if this operation is starting, is just going to postpone the diplomatic conclusion of the war, which will end only diplomatically from our point of view, and will just cost us a death toll on the Palestinian side and also on the hostages side. I wanted to add one very important point to this. The delicacy of that situation in the region right now is critical. And basically, we have seen that the continuation of this campaign in this way and this behavior, and it's not only in Gaza, but Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, is something becoming unbearable. Yet you have seen that all of us as governments, as countries, we are calling for peace, we are calling for peaceful resolutions, and nothing is stopping this kind of behavior. That will only add anger to the people in that region. This will add legitimacy for non-state actors, and is just going to fuel the narrative of extremism and terrorism.
In President Trump's speech last week in Riyadh, he talks about the birth of a new Middle East, the economic transformation, and also the Gulf states playing an increasingly influential diplomatic and mediation role, and the prospect of regional stability. Can there actually be regional stability in the absence of a solution to the Palestinian and Israeli conflict that has been going on for decades?
Well, we believe that this conflict is a core for the regional stability, and we hope that there will be a chance sometime soon. It requires a strong leadership from the Palestinian side, from the Arab side, and from the Israeli side, because there will never be a deal without a compromises between all the parties, that ensuring that there are conditions that can be created for the people to coexist together. This region has been, for centuries, with a beautiful social fabric that has different backgrounds and different ethnicity and different religions. Unfortunately, it's been drained with these ancient wars and proxies that evolved over the last few decades. I cannot recall since I was born that there was a moment of stability in the region. When we talk about the overall, we are blessed that the GCC was protected, except during Iraq war. But since we grew up on just conflicts after another after another.
We've got a couple of minutes, but I do want to ask you, because you were in Tehran over the weekend, how likely is it that you think we will get to an Iran-US nuclear deal by the end of this year?
I believe there is a positive momentum. We had a very good conversation with the President Trump when he was here. We see him as a president who tried to talk to everyone, which is something that we are very much encouraged. And also he's trying to avoid any conflict or any escalation. And this determination in itself, it's showing leadership and political will. On the other side, on Iran, we have seen and sensed the same positivity. Of course, Oman is leading the mediation, and we are trying to support their efforts. I have suggested that after the visit of President Trump to have a trilateral engagement with the Iranians and our Omani colleagues. And we were discussing ideas that can bridge the gaps between the two parties. We hope that those ideas will work. The last thing that we want in that region, a nuclear race or another round of escalation that's next to our countries.
Final question on the Qatar economy. We've had the World Cup bump, you could call it, and of course you have big visions of what you want to achieve in the next few years. What is the plan the next 5 years by 2030?
Well, it's a very ambitious plan. I have a friend who once told me that the World Cup was like an IPO for Qatar, and I believe this was, thanks to God, that this was a very successful IPO, and it's been oversubscribed, and we have seen the growth in many sectors after that. Basically, Qatar is trying to work on a transformation plan where we transform our economy into more being diversified, with a diversified base internally. And we've been talking about this for the last 25 years, and we've been working toward that objective. We are focusing on developing different sectors, whether it's on the manufacturing, on the logistics, on the education, on the healthcare, and the tourism, and technology. And we have seen the technology revolution right now that's happening, and we have seen that this technology revolution is not only happening away in the world, but countries like UAE is leading in artificial intelligence, or Saudi leading in data centers. And we are trying to be part of this ecosystem and being a complementary for this region. And basically we see that the potential is huge, the capability is there, and Qatar has successfully built global brands in the last few decades. Qatar Airways is one of the main examples, when you see that you have a leading airline being nominated #1 for the last few years. This is something making us proud, and we would like to see more and more brands coming out of Qatar like this.